Alright, so today is April 27th, it's Monday, and we're going to do a lesson today on distance on the coordinate plane. I'm going to abbreviate coordinate plane. Today we have 4, 27, 20. Alright, so we've been working on the Pythagorean theorem, and I think the Pythagorean theorem is kind of a lead into this. The Pythagorean theorem is really an 8th grade objective, but I had to get through you guys, had to get a good understanding of it before we could move into distance, and distance is in our curriculum. So really what we're doing now is the more important of the two topics. So we'll have the coordinate plane like I've got on the screen, and we've got this point which we'll call point A, and maybe we'll have this point right here which will be B, and I'm trying to find the distance between those two, which should be maybe this red line right here. Okay, I'm going to find the length of that red line. Okay, so understand that on the coordinate plane, finding the length of any horizontal or vertical line is pretty easy because you can just count blocks. But when it comes down to finding the length of a diagonal line or a line that's not a horizontal or vertical line, you can't just count blocks. I mean, I can't just count the length of that red line and say it's 5 blocks or 2 blocks or 3 blocks or whatever. So obviously this has to do with right triangles. So to find the length of AB, this line AB, we're going to let that be part of a triangle that we would draw here. Okay. Now, what you've done is drawn the legs on that triangle. I didn't have to draw those 2 lines. I could have drawn 2 other lines. I'll show you those when I'm done with this problem. But I'm going to work this problem using the Pythagorean theorem and basically finding the hypotenuse of that triangle is going to give me the length of the red line. What do I know over here on the side? I know that point A is located at 2 and 2. I know that point B is located at 5 and 6. Right? All of that's not really that important to me right now. What I'm going to do is use the graph. You're going to see I'm splitting this unit into 2 sections. One is going to be with the graph and drawing a picture on the graph and count blocks. The next section is going to be on using a formula. Okay, so next week we'll get into, well, maybe this week later on we'll get into using a formula. So pretty simply, let me change back to maybe blue here. If I want to count the blocks of this bottom line right here, the distance, the length of the line is just 3 units. It's 1, 2, 3 blocks long. 3 blocks is the length of that side. In order to count the blocks of the other leg, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 4 blocks. You can just count the blocks with your eyes. Again, vertical and horizontal lines, to find the distance or length of those lines, you just count the blocks, how long the line is. The line's 3 blocks for the bottom leg and 4 blocks for the vertical leg. This is a right triangle, right? And now we use the Pythagorean theorem. You guys know how to use that to find the red line. We're trying to find the hypotenuse here. So I will go 3 squared plus 4 squared. I know that equals to 25. And we square root that, and that equals 5. Okay. Hopefully that's pretty clear on that. We'll do another one here in a minute. Maybe we'll get a decimal answer. Maybe we'll go across the plane and do some negatives. It really doesn't matter. Let's go to another one here. All right, so I've got to get on the, I'm hoping I can get this right with my pen. Okay. Maybe we can do this and make this a little smaller so we can get more numbers on here. Okay, that looks fine. All right, we should be able to continue now. So let's say this time we have a point, and our point A is over here at -4 and 3. So A is at -4 and +3. And B, I don't know, we'll put B way down here at 7 and -2. right? And again, you know, our job here is to find the distance between point A and point B. And you know, you may be given this problem without a graph. I mean, you guys may be given this problem here, and this is all you get. So what's the distance between those 2 points? You have to go to your graph paper, graph the 2 points, and then make your drawing. You're going to have graph paper to do this. I mean, there's no question. You have to have graph paper. If you don't have it, you need to pull up a graph on your computer and draw on it, or print some graph paper off on your off of your computer. You can find some 1/4-inch graph paper to print off. Is fine. But there's just no way to do this without counting the blocks, and the blocks have to be counted and be drawn correctly. So this is a must-have graph paper type of assignment. So I will count the blocks between A and B. I'm going to try to draw this line out fairly close. Now, a while ago I mentioned that you got 2 choices, 2 options on how to draw this triangle. You got to draw a triangle around this red line, okay? So you can draw your triangle above the red line or below it. So, you know, I did it last time below it. I'll do it again. So I'm going to come down to here and straight over. Again, using must-have vertical and horizontal lines here. It must be a right angle. You must be have a right triangle so that you can do this with the Pythagorean theorem. I want right angle here, okay? And now I can use this triangle, this right triangle, to count blocks for these 2 legs and use those legs to get the hypotenuse, the red line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the short leg is 5 blocks long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the long leg is 11 blocks long. So you're just counting blocks, right? We're trying to find the number of units long that the line AB is. How far is it from AB? So now we got this picture using the Pythagorean theorem. I'm going 5 squared plus 11 squared. That equals to 121 and 25. Should be 146. All right, I got my calculator, so I'm just going to check it because I want to make sure I'm giving you the right numbers here. So 11 squared plus 5 squared. I got 146 is right. You know, we're going to square root that. You know, that's 12 point something. So we'll square root it. We get 12.08, right? Again, I know there's been some questions lately about rounding. Some of you guys are rounding to the nearest tenth. Some of you are doing 100. You're going to notice we're going back and forth between different assignments, which comes from different books. Some books tell you to round tenths. Some books tell you to round hundreds. Our math book, the orange math book, has us to round to the nearest hundreds. That's kind of what I'm used to. But you guys are seeing other things that say round tenths. I don't, you know, it's not going to be a big issue. I prefer hundreds. I would always round hundreds. That's just me. I like to be more precise, kind of thing. All right, let's look at the second option here. I've talked about this for 2 problems now. So the second option would be, I'm doing this in blue this time, would be to draw over and down. Okay, like that. And I can use the blue triangle now. It's going to be the same answer. Because if you count blocks here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's still 5 blocks here. And if I count across here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's still 11 there. It's just that my triangles, I see the triangle as being upside down. You may not. Same answer either way. It's just however you see the problem, however you want to draw the triangle, you draw the triangle. So this should be enough to get you through most of what you're going to work on today. You just got a worksheet. I think the worksheet, if you print it off, it's got the graphs for you. If you have the ability to have a printer, if you print this worksheet off, it's real easy because all the graphs are drawn for you and the dots are there, and you don't have to do a lot of copying. If you don't have a printer, then you'll have to transfer the points onto your graph paper to find the distance. Okay. All right, so that finishes up the lesson for today, and I'll make the homework check video for you now.